Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk About It, Steph. I know today is not Wednesday. We decided to have people to come on Monday. This is a special day because I got two special guests that will be coming on here. Today is Justice Day, so we're going to be talking to someone that is running for district justice, district judge, and then we have someone that's running for justice of the peace. So we're gonna bring them on here, and we're gonna talk about some things that y'all gonna get to know these folks because I believe they are good people, and you need to know exactly who they are and what they stand for. But until then, we're gonna talk about these the stuff that Greg Abbott just did. So I'm not gonna be messy yet. I might have to say that because I know it's gonna be more tea to be telling about what's going on out here in Texas. But I am so proud of our legislators that decided to lead Texas to stand up for justice, so that way that they were not able to meet. So I'm so proud of them for standing up for the people of Texas because 98% of the people said we don't want our congressional to be redistricted, especially in the middle of census. It's not time yet, but I really appreciate what they're doing for us. So, we have so much to talk about, but first, I'm going to introduce Miss Jabina Barbie, and I hope I didn't mess up her name. She is a wonderful person. Let me tell you, I met her about 2 weeks ago, and I tell you, she's such a wonderful person. And I think that y'all would love to hear what she has to say. We're talking about she's a representative and what it really means to serve the people from the bench, and we're going to bring her on. She is running for district judge of 282 Judicial District here in Texas. So we're going to bring her on up here, and y'all be nice because
Hello. Hello, everyone. I'm well. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. All right. My name is Jennifer Barry. I am from Freetown, Sierra Leone, and I've been in the States for almost 30 years now. Currently, I practice in both federal and state courts in the DFW area. I also have experience as a prosecutor. And prior to that, I also experienced the judicial system firsthand as a child and as a crime victim. So I'm running because I believe that I have a lot to offer the bench. I believe I bring a well-rounded perspective to the bench. I believe I can be fair and impartial. I believe I can listen to both sides of the argument and make rulings based on the law, based on the facts, free of any outside influences. And I think having had all this experience will greatly ground me in making my decisions. I'm also running to make sure that my particular bench is ran in a fair and equitable way, and also to make sure that I show up to work. And that is my promise to the people of Dallas County because part of doing the job is showing up. You can't do it if you don't show up. And so I would like to clear any and all backlogs, and I want to make sure that people that should stay in jail, people that should be released are released, and those are based on factors that are by code and based on facts and people's history. So I'm running because I believe I will be a fair and impartial judge that will show up, get the work done in a fair and just way.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So now we have Mr. Rodney Lee. He is running for justice of the peace. Yes, he'll be able to marry you, okay? All right, Mr. Rodney, we're going to bring you on over here.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Rodney Lee, as I said. I am running for Justice of the Peace Precinct 4, which is in the Tarrant County area. The cities that it covers is White Settlement, River Oaks, Lake Worth, Azle, Saginaw. And so I just want persons to know that I'm on here just to inform you that that is a community court, one that really needs to have attention. So please, we do a lot more than just married folks. I can assure you, the day-to-day life stuff that we do really affects your life, and hopefully, by the time we finish this podcast, you will be well acquainted with all of the various duties that we have. But I can tell you now, I'm very experienced. I am retired military. I've done 22 years, retired Terry County Juvenile Probation Officer. After 20 years, currently working for Arlington ISD as a truancy officer. I'm an adjunct professor where I've taught law enforcement as well as transitioned to college class for Tarrant County College Northwest. And again, I am just extremely excited about this opportunity. And I believe that if you get out and vote, you're looking at your next justice of the peace.
All right. All right. So thank you for that quick introduction of who you are. Let me see if I can bring her on here. We're having some technical issues going on here. Let's see. Yes.
Okay. Like I said, I was going to sit very still so I don't mess anything up.
Okay, I got
What
all
can
three
you
of
say?
us on here. You
Okay.
know, you have to have them 2,000 babies up in here to kind of help you with all the logistic and stuff with these computers.
Hmm.
Yeah, all the time.
My goodness. So, I know there are some topics we can talk about, and then there are some topics we cannot talk about. So, we're going to talk about the good talk. So, I'm going to ask this question, and both of y'all are basically running for a judge position, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
So, I want to know, what do you see that we can do better in our community?
I'll let you go first.
Well, in our community, what we can do better as far as criminal justice is to make sure, like I said in my introduction, people that just do not deserve to be in jail longer than they need to be. And that's part of, showing up, getting the job done to make sure that people who need to stay in jail stay in jail. People who need to get out. Right now there is a lot of overcrowding that they're um, trying to take care of, and part of that is clearing the docket and making sure that we are moving cases in a efficient and diligent way. And so that would be my main concern, specifically to my court, and to make sure that we're working together to ensure, the victims of all parts of the criminal justice system is working in tandem to make sure that we're moving forward and get people trial dates. Everybody has a right to a trial, so we don't need to have people sitting indefinitely, and so that is what I will be focusing on, and making sure that as a judge, and especially since having a well-rounded perspective, you're able to just kind of look at the docket, of course, see there's a difference between triage, working on cases that need immediate help, right? And I kind of see myself, coming in there, as an emergency room doctor, like, okay, what case do I need to make sure it's moving? What case, is not that serious? And part of that is bond versus jail. The victim of the offenses, what they look like, because that matters. That stays in the code. And for me, So that's very, very targeted. I know it's different for every candidate, it's different for every judge. Everyone has a focus. At the end of the day, we all have bosses, right? And my bosses will be the people of Dallas County. And so what I always say is that if there is something, I'm open to criticism. If there is something that needs to be done, that it will be done, right? And it's all about implementing programs, implementing systems in place so where everything is moving efficiently, so we don't have this backlog, so we don't have people sitting indefinitely, so people who need to get out, and we can take care of the docket. And that is my primary focus. And, you know, get attorneys in and out, you know, so that way they can take care of a lot of their clients and, you know, not just sitting. So that's my primary focus, and that's very specific to my bench.
Okay. All right.
Well,
Well, thank you for that.
well, for me, the JP Court, Justice of the Peace Court, has and should have always been viewed as a community court. And so, one of the things that our community, I feel, really needs to do better is become more acquainted and educated as to what Justice of the Peace does. The issue comes down to simply we are elected officials or will be elected officials that represent the people. The people need to hear and know that they are the center of our focus. Now, as it relates to the duties of the justice of the peace, which is a judge, have to remain unbiased, have to remain impartial. But in doing so, that doesn't mean that we can't render service that's equitable to all. One of the things I often say is that it's justice for all, not for some. And so while I may be running under a particular party, when it comes down to the day to day activities that that courtroom is responsible for, it really doesn't matter what party you're under. You need to feel as though when you walk into that courtroom, you have as equal amount of time and chance as anyone else. Regardless of your ethnicity, regardless of your background, regardless of your economic level, it has to be and should always maintain the integrity of you will receive an unbiased, equitable decision as you present your case. You also need to understand, and that's one of the reasons why I do videos explaining what the justice of the peace says, because often people do not realize how familiar they will be with the justice of the peace. You either know someone or you yourself have had to have the services of a justice of the peace. So that's one of the things that I would bring to the court is more education, but also fair and equitable decisions. I have 30 years of experience in the courtroom, and I can guarantee you that those who vote for me, those who come into my courtroom, they will all receive the same treatment.
Right. I love hearing that. I love hearing it. So, I have another question for you.
Mhm.
One thing I always tell my listeners is that change doesn't happen without involvement. For people who are listening right now and feel inspired by you, how can they get involved with your campaign?
So for my campaign, I have a plethora of platforms on social media. I am on Instagram, I am on Facebook, I am on TikTok, at Geneva, Geneba FOR 282ND, and that's Geneva for 282nd District Court. And anyone that wants to reach out to my campaign, either as a volunteer, to donate, to ask me more about what my plans are for the court. Um, if I am elected or when I am elected, I'm going to keep it positive. They can contact me at Geneva. Uh, Geneva at Geneva for 282nd.com. So it's Geneba at Genebafor 282nd.com. And my website is www.geneba4282nd.com. That's Genebafor 282nd.com. At this current moment, my campaign is receiving donations. We do have merchandise that is coming to help you support the campaign. If you're, like I said, if you're interested in volunteering, we're going to need door walkers, door knockers, poll volunteers, phone bankers, anything you can do to help. And this is just a really quick story time. Um, People think that they have to do so much, so extreme to help a campaign, and that is not true at all. I've had people sign petitions, people, donating. People are going to volunteer to door knock for me. And I had a lady that was like, "Well, I can't afford to donate. What can I do?" And I just like, "Oh, don't worry about it." And she sent me a check in the mail. And that just shows the power of community. And I am looking forward to earning everyone's vote, to earning everyone's trust, to working for the bench and working for the people of Dallas County. And I hope I can get the support of the people of Dallas County.
Oh, that's so amazing.
Well, let me thank you first of all for that question. Uh, I agree with my colleague here that if you're wanting to volunteer in any capacity with my campaign, we're more than happy to receive you. I told my staff we turn no one away. So to get to my website, and it's real easy. It is Rodney Lee for JOP.com. That's my website. Rodney Lee for JOP.com. RODNEYLEEFORJOP.com. You can donate because often when I'm speaking, because I run precinct wide and not county wide, I run into persons say, "Well, we really love you, we really like you, but we can't vote for you." Well, I understand that, but you know someone or someone who knows someone who lives in the area where I'm at, and I can guarantee you that even if you can't vote for me, we have a program that's going now, which we call 20 for 20. What we're looking for are just 20 people, just 20, and if you get more, man, thank God for that. But we're looking for 20 people who would be willing to donate $20 monthly just to the campaign. We also have what we call a 10 for 20. And I know it sounds like I'm auctioning off stuff, but no, a 10 for 20, where if we could get 10 people to 20 people rather to give $10. Now think about that, a monthly. We're just talking monthly. Then that means that's less than $1 a day. We spend $1 on a Coke and a Sprite there. At least I do anyway. And so we're asking that you can get involved that way. But for those of you who are in my precinct area, which is White Settlement, River Oaks, Lake Worth, Azle, Saginaw, and River Oaks, I think I said that. We are looking for you to actually sign a petition and get involved. Here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. We have some great ideas. When I say we, I'm talking about a campaign, but it means nothing without you. I often tell people one of the reasons why I'm running because we seemingly, in this climate that we're in, have forgotten the person who has actually put us in the seats, and that's you. So I'm saying to you that regardless to what you say, regardless to what you feel, there is a place for you. I'm running for justice of the peace. And then again, as I said, it's not justice for some, it's justice for all. And I have a hashtag that said, let's do this together. I really mean that.
Oh, now I really love that. Y'all two are just like, I'm like, I'm just going to have to leave both of y'all on here at the same time. I love y'all spirit about it. And that is something that we definitely need, especially with this changing climate and especially with the issues that we're having over in Tarrant County, with we have a lot of prisoners that are dying in there, are not being treated right, and we definitely need to make sure we have something like a prison reform when they come out. Because a lot of times they go in and then they go out and then they go right back in because we don't have a system in place for them. So, what are y'all thoughts on that if you can talk about
Well, in my humble opinion, there is a lot that needs to be done with prison reform. Can't really go much into it. What I personally think, again, I am a judicial candidate, and I want to be able to be fair and impartial in all ways. I believe that's a very serious, topic of prison reform. And there are a lot of measures that have passed this last legislative session, and I'm aware that as far as like one issue in particularly is bond is making automatic no bond for certain cases. I can't really say what my opinions on that will be because obviously if it does pass, I will have to make that determination on a case by case basis. And right now, I'm not able to say, well, if it passes, this is what I'm going to do, or if it doesn't pass, this is what I'm going to do. So I'm not able to just give a blanket statement because that would
Right.
be not fitting. But I am hoping that something huge happens to where, like I said earlier in my introduction, hey, people that need to be out, the system works better, but that is a very, very root issue that has to be taken care of on so many different levels. And as a judge, my job will be to whatever the legislature decide, whatever passes, whether there's a constitutional amendment. My job as a judge is to interpret what that means once it gets to that point. And I guess my oath or my promise is that once the law is passed, I'm going to do everything in my power to follow the law, follow the facts of the case, and then render a decision based on that. And that's what I can tell and what I can promise to the people of Dallas County is that would be my role as a judicial officer of the court.
Well,
You know what? And I think Dallas County definitely needs that. They need someone that's going to be show empathy and make good decisions. Right.
Right. And you talk about empathy and making good decisions. My goodness, compassion, empathy, being able to look beyond, sometimes you can look at a law, right? You can just look at the black and white letters of the law, and you're kind of like, how would because one judge can interpret the law one way, another judge can do it a whole different way. And then you're looking at it, you're like, well, how did we get to this point? Right? So part of the human factor also plays into that. When you talk about compassion, we talk about empathy, respecting people that come in front of your court, treating them with decency, making sure when they leave your court, it doesn't matter who comes in your court, what their situation is. Making sure when they leave. First of all, they're human beings, right? People are human beings. It doesn't matter why they're in that court, whether it's a victim, a defendant, an attorney, a caseworker, a probation officer. It is our job as judicial officers to make sure that everybody that comes before us is treated with the utmost respect, with decency, and to make sure when they leave, my personal goal is to make sure when anyone leaves my court, that they feel that I listened to them. They felt heard. They felt understood. Ultimately, I might not rule in your favor, right? Everybody needs to understand that. You might have a case where even though I don't rule in your favor, it doesn't mean I have to belittle you, talk down on you, make you feel less than, when you leave. So I'm glad you brought that up, but compassion, empathy, following the law, following the facts, ruling based on that is my promise to the people of Dallas County.
Thank you. That was a wonderful answer.
thank you.
Mr. Rodney.
Let me ask you to ask that question again. I want to make sure that I answered it in the way that I think it was asked. So if you wouldn't mind asking me that question again.
Okay. The question was, well, we had a two-part question
Hmm.
about prison reform.
Hmm.
We have so many issues that's going on to where we have prisoners that go into jail, and then when they get out, they wind up having to go back because there's not any type of system. There are some companies that'll take them, but then there are a lot of companies that, well, you did this, we can't take you over here. So they get into trouble again because that's all they know and they're trying to survive.
Sure.
And they wind up going back. What is your feeling? What's your opinion on how can we make a better choice when it comes to prison reform? What works do we need to do?
Well, that's a very good question. So one of the things that I believe, and you have to understand, I come from a family of educators, a family of law enforcement, uh, judicial personnel. Matter of fact, I won't name the name, but I would just had a family reunion, was speaking to one of my cousins who's a district judge, and he and I had a very extensive conversation. So we talked about the three pillars here. First being the executive committee. That those persons who really enforce the law. I have police officers out there, and I applaud them for the duties that they've done. They go out and they put their lives on the line, and I know sometimes YouTube and Facebook and other things kind of demonstrate the one side of it, but there's always two sides to any particular story. So I appreciate all of my officials that are out there, my police officials. I do believe that we still, even with the trouble that we have, that we still have the best system. And I've been one
Okay.
who's been all over the country, been all over the world as a military veteran, and I've seen law enforcement on all sides. And so my statements are centered around the fact of understanding the legislature in terms of there's the bedrock rule and then there's the spirit of the law. And so there are those judges and persons who do well with that, and then of course, as any industry, there are those who don't. And so we have to look at that, and then of course the judicial. We are human, most importantly, but again,
Mhm.
we go back to, and I like what you just said, is that we have to approach this with that whoever comes in that courtroom feeling as though they have been heard. That's one of the biggest problems, is that
Yeah.
sometimes we're spending more time talking at each other that we're not speaking to each other. And so I've come across programs out there that have to do with second chance. Oh, I didn't know there was applause, but second chance ministries. And because I've gone in the community, and that's why we've got to get out beyond the bench. One of our mantras, and we have several, to serve beyond the bench. There are persons out there who are affording opportunities for persons who need that second chance. Now, of course, with anything, there's going to be those who take advantage of it, but I truly believe that we have the best system. We need to improve on it greatly. 70, I think it was up to, God, please don't, I'm going to say 78. I know that's not the right number, but I think it was like 78 deaths or something in Tarrant County. I have it written down somewhere.
Oh, yes.
Uh, that's atrocity. Whether it's one, it really doesn't matter. Any death that, uncalled for is one too many. But the fact of the matter is that we spent all this time talking about that, but nobody's come up with a plan. The plan is real simple. If they come out, you've got to have an opportunity for them to improve themselves. There are jobs out there that are willing to do that. There are employees out there that's willing to do that. We have a gentleman, and I'm trying to keep from just naming names, but I don't think he would mind. Just for CDL licenses, I'll just say it that way. I won't name his company, but
Okay.
CDL license, he gives opportunities for those who've had this chance. You know how much money you can really make by just driving trucks? We have to get the
Yes.
information out. I am a strong believer. Now, of course, I don't hear criminal cases, but I hear truancy cases, and I have met and sat down with parents with over 30,000, 40,000 parents. I've been doing this for 20 years, so trust me, I've had a lot of those meetings. And the thing that everybody is wanting hope. We've got to get out of just being so punished minded and really get into what is rehabilitation. That's what we've got to get into.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, everybody wants to eat. So you either gonna steal, rob, kill, do something. If you want to eat, you're gonna survive. And so we have to give them the opportunity, the chances. What I often tell people is just because there's the ruling doesn't mean that there doesn't have to be the advice. I have to render the ruling. It has to be fair. It has to be unbiased. It has to be equitable to everyone. If you present the case the same way with the same set of facts, you should get the same set of outcomes. But the issue comes down to, again, what we do is we politicize all of this stuff and we get 30-second sound bites. And now all of a sudden, everyone's an expert. Well, I don't know
Right.
about you, but it's much easier. And I told some of my buddies, it's easier for me to talk about Tony Romo and talk about Dak Prescott because I'm sitting on my couch. There's no 300-pound dude running at me. But when you got citizens to make that decision, that's a totally
Right.
different thing. And so I want the public to understand that, again, I'm running for Justice of the Peace Precinct 4. I'm running because I have 30 years of experience, but I'm running because I really, really mean what I say. We will and do serve beyond the bench. I guarantee you that.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, and that's exactly what we need to in today's society, especially. I love my Texas. I've been living out here for 22 years, and I'm from Louisiana. So we would always hear, don't mess with Texas, don't mess with Texas, and in Louisiana, don't mess with the state troopers because they different. So we don't play with the state troopers out there in Louisiana, but here in Texas, it's like don't mess with Texas. They different now. They'll be nice to you to the point when they're not. And I can say majority of the times that I've ever had any type of any interaction with the police officers, that it's usually pretty good. They'll listen to what I have to say, and if I know I did wrong, I'm gonna get that speeding ticket. I'm gonna have to go to the judge. I'm like, Judge, my light was on. I just got my car back. My light was on. It was getting it fixed, and it came back on again. He said, "Now you've been driving." Yeah. I said, "You right. You right, Judge. How much I gotta pay?" So I like those judges that are open and honest, and they show empathy. They're not just beating you down, because I've seen this particular judge, this court I was at. And I'm like just paying attention. I love going to court, so don't be surprised if I end up at one of your courts. And I'm like just listening to proceedings and stuff and seeing what's really going on. And this judge, you would have thought that he was going to beat this person up because they didn't have no insurance, they didn't have their driver's license. I don't even know if they were even legal
Mm.
for anything. And that was like, I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna have the sheriff waiting for this person outside this door. And he told her, he says, you know what, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you 60 days, and you're gonna come back here in 60 days, and you're gonna make sure that you have all your stuff together. Is that fair? And she was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So hopefully she did what she wanted to do, instead of him saying, you know what, we're going to lock you up and throw away the key and stuff. But he showed empathy towards this person, which I was really surprised, especially in this climate that we're in, that like I was saying before, that we have to have judges sometimes to have a little empathy. You can be strong, but show people a little mercy a little bit, so that I guess it depends on the person.
Well, let me
You
give them a
know,
story that, uh, uh, at least from my background, as I said before, worked to work in the education system as a truancy officer, and so I oversee about 13 schools. And there was this one young lady who I knew when she came to school, I was getting cussed out that day. I already do it, and so she would come and I'm like, here we go again, and she gets sent home. And she come back the next day, we tried again. So this kept over. And so I came back after one summer and she came up to me, unrequested. She said, Mr. Lee, I'm not going to get in any trouble. I said, okay, babe, I hope that's true. So, because she would come to school dressed all inappropriately, provocatively, and what have you. So she ended up coming. I'm walking down the halls and she ended up getting into a fight. She comes to my office. She said, Mr. Lee, I didn't fight back. And I said, sweetheart, I never told you to sit there and let people beat you up. She said, but I made you a promise. So I said, okay. And so, we dealt with that. She started turning her life around. And so they had what's called the site based committee, and they brought her in. Now, she's the only one who's ever really, now, think, I'm 6 feet, I'm about 260, 270. I'm sitting there. I don't know why she's invited me here. And they asked her one simple question. They said, what made you change? And she said, him. They're like, excuse me? Him. They said, what do you mean by him? He would not go anywhere. I'd cuss him out. I'd talk all crazy to him. And the very next day, he'd act as though it's a brand new day. That's what we need in our courtroom. It's not that we can't hold people accountable. No, we have to do that. If we don't,
mhm,
that questions the integrity of our court. But what we
right.
have to do is let them know it's not personal. This is business. And because it's business, we're going to be about the business of making better communities. We're going to be about the business of supporting our police officers. We're going to be about the business of interpreting correctly the legislature. Why? Because at the end of the day, we're supposed to be the experts. They voted us into that office. They need to vote for people who will deal with them in a fair and equitable manner. Not because they come from a trailer home, not because they are maybe past offenders. It's when you walk in that courtroom, regardless to what your past was, we're dealing with right now. And that's what we need in our courtroom. Because we can
Yeah.
get a whole lot of people get on soapboxes, but that's not the place for it.
Look
Right.
at
Um,
you. Look at
right. And
you.
just to piggyback off of that, judicial temperament, it's so crucial. You know, you need to be able to have a very, very stoic, just a very, calm composure because I've tried countless cases. I've been on both sides, prosecutor, defense, um, and I've seen some really crazy stuff happen in the courtrooms. And sometimes you need the guidance. There's always someone you look to, like, okay, is this normal? Do I run? Right? Whenever something happens, they're gonna be looking at someone as to how they react in that moment. And most of the time, you're looking at the judge, right? Because the judge basically lays the tone for how everything is going to be handled. And if you have a judge that's there, with the tirades and out of place and doing this, that, and before, you kind of lose confidence in the system, right? But if you have a judge that's there, very calmly, hey, bailiff, let's get this taken care of, and get to the root of the issue, it puts everyone at ease, and you make people feel okay. I'm safe in this space, right? So judicial temperament is so crucial, and I think that's one of the things that people sometimes don't understand when you go into a courtroom or you're in the legal system, because the judge definitely sets the tone for what everybody else does in that courtroom, right? So a lot of times when things happen, my eyes are looking at the judge, at the black robe, because that is the final authority in that courtroom. And so it makes a difference who you're looking at that moment, because that matters. That matters a lot.
Does it also matter about the attire that the person is wears as well when they go see the judge?
Well, there are certain, and certainly, and I'm going to say this, but um, sometimes you don't want to come off as classist, correct? There are people out there who are wearing their Sunday best to court, and their best for the rest of us, it's like it doesn't look like their best. But
Right.
there are defendants that are battling homelessness. There are defendants that are on their last. There are defendants that don't know what they're going to eat for supper that day. So for me, yes, come to court presentable, of course, right? We all want to be presentable in the courtroom. I go in, dolled up, but that's me. That's what I do, right? But I will not project that on everybody else. The one thing I want people to know in the community is just respect the court, right? When you come in, I have a story where there was a judge. Of course, I won't say her name, but a defendant came in, with a bonnet, and she said, "Well, the defendant can stay, but the bonnet's got to go," right? And some people might have a problem with that. Some people might say, "Well, maybe her hair is not done, maybe this, maybe that," and I will have no opinions about that. But my thing is, try to be as presentable as possible. And again, talking about judges are human. If you come up and you say, "Hey, Your Honor, this is all I got. This is, something happened. My house was broken into. If this is literally all I've got," it will be hard to say, "Oh no, that doesn't work for me. You got to go miss your court date. Get a warrant." That's where the humanity comes in, the compassion comes in, being able to see people for who they are. They say, "Go to church, come as you are." So I would encourage the community, of course, come in looking your very best, but it is at no point, a judge's role to beat you down for it. And again, every judge has their own standard, has their own baseline of what's acceptable in their court, and they will make that determination. As for me, mixing the compassion with the understanding, and knowing that not everybody is able, and people forget that not everybody is able. It goes a long way. But yeah, come as best as you can. That's what I have to say about that.
And I would say everything is a trainable moment. Uh, so
Yeah, teachable moment for sure.
if, if I have a district attorney who comes in to my courtroom and they're dressed inappropriately, now I don't believe in shaming anyone in the public. I think that's a bad recipe. That's a trainable moment. Hey,
Mhm.
there's a standard for this court. If there's an offended come in there and they're not dressed appropriate, uh, it's a trainable moment. That's where the conversation can come, depending on what type of case it is, and this just really depends on what we're doing. It could be as simple as, "Hey, sweetheart, that or young person or sir, that's really not how we're going to hear the case, or we may offset this and maybe have you come back, but we're going to have a conversation if it's to the point where it grossly falls below the standard, because you got to have a standard. I often say
Yeah,
people can get away with anything
baseline. Yeah.
allow them to get away with. But then after you set the standard, you've got to look, because if I'm an impartial person and I'm looking at this case, which I'm going to know about it before I walk in, then that means I set the standards set right there. That means everyone will know how to conduct themselves because we will educate them. The problem comes
Mhm.
is because we fail to educate. Now, understand, my courtroom will not take on education in the sense that you get a degree, a diploma, a certificate. We're not talking that. We're not social workers. We are persons who have impartial opinions about what the legislature says. We have to keep that. But often I said again, just because you get the judgment doesn't mean you don't get the training. That means I have to partner with other persons. So if this is a person who says, Your Honor, I really just don't have blah, 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 that's my responsibility as a community court to have those resources for you so that when you say that, here you go. Now it's up to you whether or not you take advantage of it. But it's up to me to at least to have the opportunity for you, because at the end of the day, it's not about the punishment, it's about the rehabilitation. And that's where we fail. I mean, I've seen the movies. We all want that person, that bad man to die. We all want that. We all want you to get back. But is that reality? The reality is that if I build a stronger person in you, that you have safe, you feel safe coming in this courtroom. So if I'm at HEB or if I'm at Walmart, you're like, "Hey, Judge," I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" You know it's not personal. You know it's just business, and
Mhm.
that's what we have to do. But we've got to keep a standard now.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what. And like I said, everybody's standards are different. Even the way the court is ran, even setting trials, setting hearings, setting everyone's standard is different. I think the disconnect is when the standards are not met. How do you react? Right?
Mhm.
How do you implement that? How do you make those changes? And right, and I was also going to piggyback on that. Having resources. I know some courts have extra clothes, for defendants for certain hearings and trial. Some courts don't. So part of that is having a clothes closet, which is one thing, of course, I'm going to implement, because that's important. I don't want people missing court dates again because they're not up to the standard. But like you say, it's always a teachable moment in a way that doesn't embarrass or disgrace someone because no one deserves that. And that's very important. And being the judge is just so, I don't think that people understand how serious that role is because you can literally change someone's life in the blink of an eye. And we should all take that very seriously.
Because coming in our courtrooms, let's just be honest, that's an intimidating. I don't care what level of court, it
Yes,
is
it is.
intimidating. And
Yep.
so you want to take out as best as possible the intimidation, because I'm not there to intimidate you. Often I've
Hmm.
been said, and it's funny, my daughter, I didn't understand what this meant. And she was like, "Dad, you have a mean resting face," and I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" And so when I started learning it, then I purposely now, when I catch it, is that I try to change that because I don't want you to be intimidated by
Hmm.
me. I just want you to know that I'm going to be very efficient, regardless of who's standing before me, and I just want to
Hmm.
get to the truth of the matter. That's it. I
Okay.
don't want anything else.
That's right. That's it. Get to the bottom of it.
Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad, Miss Lee, because you know what, my father, he was a Baptist minister, and I promise you, I'm his daughter, and I was like, he had that big, strong, deep voice, and he would call my name, and I'm like, oh God, what did I do now? And don't let him call your whole government name. Now you know you're really
Yeah.
Yeah, you know
wrong,
you're in trouble.
you know. But he had that same stern look to where it's like he mean business, you know. But he was the sweetest person ever. But when he mean what he mean, he said what he say, and he meant what he meant. So don't be trying to maneuver out of that, you know. So
Yeah.
I respect that. I respect that.
Mhm.
You're good. You're good. You good. But I definitely appreciate both of y'all coming on here and
Thank
enlightening us on the position that y'all are running for.
you. Hmm.
And I would love to be able to bring y'all back on here because, you know, 2026, I'm going to be bringing candidates on here all the time and letting people get to know them, you know, up
Mhm.
close and personal, because I know it's so hard to just reach everybody that's in your district and stuff. And a lot of times they'll be
Oh
on
yeah.
YouTube or whatever, and they'll see them like, wait a minute, I know that person. So they
Hmm.
see the other side of you instead of the candidate that's in front of them
Mhm.
trying to hurry up and get your elevator speech in there real quick,
Exactly.
or they asking you all these crazy questions. You
Exactly.
know,
Yes.
Exactly.
Well,
Thank
I
you.
hope
that
you like my elevator speech.
hey, I love it. I love it. I think let me you know what? I think both of y'all deserve
Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
both
Thank
deserve
you.
yes, because y'all were definitely great to be on. I appreciate y'all coming on to the show
Sure.
because people need to know just because you're getting ready to wear a robe does not mean that you got to be scared to go and talk to them, you
No.
know, and go in
Mhm.
front of them and stuff, that you're a human too, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
because
Mhm.
I cannot imagine being a judge, even though I feel like I'm the judge and the jury in my home sometimes. I wear many hats,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
I get it.
you know, you want them to understand this is the reason why you getting this judgment. You know, they want to know, okay, well, what happens after I get, what happens if I get sentenced? What happens after this judgment is called? I mean, what happens? What do I do now? You know, and we need to have systems in place. And for the most part, I do want to say I believe Texas has a pretty decent system here. I know there are
Mhm.
some other states that I would not want to get caught doing nothing. I would not want to be facing their judges because time the judges be sleep,
Hmm.
be like Sleepy Joe and be over there snoring and stuff, and they'll hear what you say, and they run to, hey, guilty, okay,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So it's good to have some good people on here that care about the community and want to give back.
Sure. It's important. I think
It,
it's
it, it,
really important. In this climate, we have, for whatever reason, and this is not prone to just one side speaking politically or the other. We've all done this. The issue comes down, though. We have to make the main thing the main thing. And in this case, people are the main thing. And so we
right,
can't forget that. One of the things that bothers me the most is that we have persons who come, ask for your voice, and then disappear, whether it be 4, 2, whatever years. We have to get to a point where we understand, hey, we live in neighborhoods too. Now that doesn't mean I want the public to know where I live, but it means simply that they have to understand that me being a judge, that's a job. And so as a job, I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it well. But what is the
right.
purpose of my job? My job is to make sure, especially for the justice of peace, is to make sure that we create what I call community courts. It's a community court. It is as simple as that. Unlike my colleague who's running for criminal court or district court, 98% of the people who are going to come and see me are law abiding citizens who need their issues resolved. They need to come in and know that that's a safe place to argue your case. Whether you win or not, it's still a safe place. And it's the same thing for district and judge court, but specifically on because we're all about just that justice for all.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right. And justice for all, not some.
Hmm.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, I just said, yeah, justice for all, not some. And it matters more now more than ever, right? So, like I said, my goal for the 282nd Judicial District Court is to make people feel seen and heard, is to make people know that I've handled their case in a just and efficient manner, and to walk away having either learned something or understood the process just a little bit more without any fear, any intimidation, and knowing that I'm approachable, I'm human, and I really care deeply about handling things in a manner that aligns with my duties as a judicial officer, and I will take a lot of pride in doing that.
I appreciate that. Look at you. You already done gave your 2 minute speech, your elevator speech already.
That was a different elevator. I've got a different one for that. I run into you. Yeah, I've boiled it down to 45 seconds.
Oh,
Don't ask me
yes.
how I know.
You know what? I have to literally be careful what I ask y'all. So I'm like, okay, let me be careful because I don't want to get y'all in trouble for asking the
No.
wrong stuff that y'all can't answer. What is that? I plead the fifth.
Yeah, I'll say if I can answer it, I'll say that's not something I can answer. But I tell people,
Right.
ask me whatever you want. I'll let you know
Yeah,
if I can answer it.
Yeah.
definitely,
It was kind of
definitely.
like earlier. It's like I can't really commit to any position on a certain topic.
Yeah,
But what I would say is, like, earlier, there's always legislative intent behind certain laws, right? And like I
hmm
said, two different judges can look at something and come to two different, decisions or ideas. And then, we have the appellate court to deal with that. But also, the letter of the law, the legislative intent, being compassionate, being fair, and just doing the, and we're humans, right? And I want to say this: there are times as judges when you will make a mistake,
yes,
right? You will make a mistake. No, and not everybody is going to be happy with your decision.
hmm
The true test is when you do make a mistake or when something does happen is how do you handle that?
hmm
How are you humble? Are you gracious? Do you identify and say, yeah, I wouldn't have, done this either way. What kind of statement are you issuing? Or are you going to double down knowing you've made that mistake?
right,
And I think that's very important. Being having humility. I think humility is lacking sometimes. You have to be, humble enough to say, "Look, okay, I messed up on this, or I could have done a better job on this, or whatever it might be." But taking feedback and criticism and not internalizing it, right? Because we are human. No matter how long you've been doing this, it happens. And so I want people to know that you can hold my feet to the fire, and I will be humble enough to say, you know what? Okay, I didn't think about it that way. I'm gonna be, take a look internal, take a look internally and see, okay, what can I do, but not internalize it and make it an indictment on me as a whole, right?
yeah,
And I think that's very important.
and to make sure that you're not negligent. Being
Hmm.
negligent means that you, as a judge, you better be educated on what you're doing
Right.
and
Okay, I'm so
prepared.
glad you brought that up because it's one of the justice of the peace. You don't even have to have a law degree or
You
to
do,
be. And
right.
I'm like,
Let me blow
why?
your mind. Yeah, let me blow your mind, which is what I'm very candid with my students when I teach at the college level. Uh,
Uh-huh.
you just have to have a high school diploma. Now, of course, I have a master's degree, and was accepted in Thurgood Marshall, but had my own personal reason why I chose to go a different route. So I have the law background, uh,
Mhm.
but quite frankly, all you have to have is a high school diploma. One of the things I
Isn't that
tell,
the craziest?
excuse me.
I said that's one of the craziest things
Well, it
ever.
is, but one of the things I tell people, and it cannot, and I'm involved with the Rotary Club, and I've been elected to the Saginaw Board of Adjustment, so I'm meeting persons out there. And one of the things I tell them, I've had opportunities to speak to mayors and what have you. We've got to
Mhm.
do a better job of painting the true picture. One of the things I did when I first opened up my class, I write this number. It is crazy. I write this 199 out of 199. And I say, hey guys, what does that mean? And so I get all these wonderful answers. You are top of the class. You are 100%. You are all these wonderful things. And I sat there and I look at them. I said, now what if I was to tell you that was my class ranking when I got my bachelor's degree? And they were like, what? I said, yeah, that was my class ranking. I just did enough to try to play football. So I was last in the class. I was looking at the back of everybody's head. But now I've gone on to get my master's from University of North Texas in education administration. I just shared with you, I have a bachelor's in law and got accepted into Thurgood Law School. Had to do the Shepherd and all. I know all that stuff. Had to do all of that. Write summary depositions and all that kind of crazy stuff. And here it is. I'm standing in front of them, and I say to them, I say, "Here's the deal, guys. I have a real simple mantra, and the mantra is simply this: the more education you have, the more money you make, the less you work. And the flip side is the less education you have, the less money you make, the more you work." Notice what I did not say. I didn't say anything about a college degree. I have buddies who have a certificate. They make 300 some odd $1,000 a year. I have buddies who have went to VTI who have a year certificate. I have a master's degree. So we're all making money. The issue is I tell them get as much education as you need for the lifestyle you want. And so as a judge, listen to me. I'm not going to be negligent. Trust and believe
Close my
in what
door.
I'm doing. Yes, there may be some mistakes there, here or there, but the mistakes won't be out of negligence. The mistakes may be out of interpretation of the law. But even after that has been done, you got to have mentorship. So
Yes.
when we present this in the truest fashion to the people, that high school student that's sitting in there saying, "Man, I really don't want to do that." Well, hey, have you ever thought about this? Because nobody grows up saying, "You know what? I want to be a justice of the peace." I've never heard that. But Justice of the Peace make very good money. I'm not going to disclose what they make, but they make extremely good money. And again, they have to be very efficient because they are very vital in that community. So
Right.
that's why I'm running. I'm running because I want that kid, be it whatever ethnicity, whatever economic background, I want them to know, look, there are all kinds of ways to reach success. You just got to be educated. Because nobody wants an uneducated mechanic fixing their car. Your car would never run.
No more shade trees.
So yeah.
Shaky. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Y'all are wonderful. I have had such a wonderful time, and it's already almost 8 o'clock. So I'm gonna give y'all both 1 minute to say whatever you need to say, how people can get reach back out to you, and we'll close it on out. And I appreciate y'all for coming on to Let's Talk About Stuff, and I look forward to having y'all back on here again. So
Mhm.
who wants to give that pitch?
I'll let ladies go
Oh.
first.
Okay.
Well, like I said, my name is Jennifer Barry, and I am running to be the next judge of the 282nd Judicial District Court here in Dallas County, Texas. Now, my race is a county-wide race, so everybody that resides in Dallas County and is registered to vote can vote for me. I am currently a federal and state criminal defense attorney. I am a former prosecutor. I've handled thousands and thousands of cases. I've tried cases ranging from criminal trespass all the way to murder. I have been doing this for quite a while. And like I said, I'm very well rounded in the fact that I've worked on both sides of the legal criminal defense and prosecution. And I also had a personal experience in the criminal justice system when I was little. And that was my first introduction into the US criminal justice system. And I am running to restore decorum, to restore integrity, and to restore justice back to the 282nd Judicial District Court. I am at www.jenevafor282nd.com. That's Geneva for 282nd.com. On Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, I am Geneva 4282 ND District Court, Geneba 4282 District Court. I am looking forward to all of your support, and I hope to earn every single one of y'all's vote come voting day. And the primary is March 3rd, 2026. March 3rd, 2026. Please be sure to follow me, like me on socials. And you can also donate at Jennifer for 282nd.com /donate. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much, Ms. Draper, for having me, and I really appreciate it. And thank you so much, Mr. Lee, for being a panelist as well.
Same as you. Same as you.
I just love her spirit. All right, Mister. I'm almost ready to call y'all judges now. All right, Mr.
Yeah.
Lee.
My name is Rodney Lee, and it's easy to get in touch with me. Rodney Lee for JOP.com. That's my social. That's my email, Rodney Lee for JOP at gmail.com. The reason why I'm running, because I want to reintroduce to everyone community court. We deal with truancy, we deal with evictions, we deal with toll hearings, we deal with a multiple of things. If you go to my website, I have videos, Real Talk with Rodney, that explain exactly what the justice of the peace does. I'm saying to you that in my courtroom, it will be integrity. We will deal with integrity. We deal honestly. That means everyone who come into my courtroom will receive the truth, and we deal equitably. That means if you have the exact identical cases, you get the exact identical results. Again, my name is Rodney Lee. I'm running for Justice of the Peace Precinct 4. The way to get in touch with me is go to my website or go into my email, RODNEYLEEFORJOP.com, or same spelling at gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Look for me. I'm coming.
Well, I'm lost myself on here.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank y'all both for coming on here, and I wish y'all the best of luck. And if there's anything that I can do to bring you back on here, so y'all can get back on here and tell the world was Texas, because Texas, we be having our own little issue here. We're our own little country.
Sure.
We gotta
Sure.
tell everybody who you are and what you stand for. And I wish both of y'all the best of luck and come back
Thank
on
you.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having
Thank
me. I
you.
really appreciate it. Thank you
You
so much.
Mhm.
You're so welcome. So, y'all, thank y'all. If you're watching here, please make sure you subscribe, like, share, tell everybody. I'll be back on here Wednesday because we got our politic Wednesday, and I'm telling you, there's so much that we're going to be discussing about what's going on in the state of Texas and what's going on in the United States, because we got other blue states is going to be backing our people up here, and I'm happy about that because everybody, it doesn't matter what party you are in, everything that's happening right now here in Texas is going to affect everyone.
Mhm.
Everybody deserves to have somebody to represent them. It
Mhm.
has to. You can't have one sided, because that wouldn't be right. So that's one of the reasons why we have a two-party or three-party state. We got to make sure that everybody has somebody that's going to represent them the right way. And you got to be for the people, because people forget you're in office today and tomorrow they're going to vote you out if you don't do right by them. So remember, if you take care of the people gonna take care of you. So we
That's
out, y'all. See y'all Wednesday, 7
Thank you
p.m.
all.
Y'all
Have a good one.